Yo, we're live. I'm gonna share the screen. We actually catching the press coming
9
live.
o'clock or at night in New York in front of supporters. So he's been pretty much out there after the hours of 4 p.m. and before 10 a.m. for sure. And so that has been something he has consistently done over the past couple of days.
Please
for
make sure as you're joining that you're liking for the algorithm. Like.
Let
Send
me
this to a
be very
friend.
clear
Please
about
share with a
this.
friend. It's going to help having as many
This is a
different perspectives
president
as possible.
that wakes up
Please
every
make
morning
sure that you're liking
and
and you're
puts the
sharing.
American
Thank you.
people first. That's what he does. He does that every single day. That is his focus. I am not going to speak to sources out there, unnamed sources out there. That's not what I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to what I know, what this president does, and how he is committed to the work of the president, of the commander-in-chief. And his record clearly lays that out and speaks to it. And that's what he's going to continue to do. The American people first, and delivering for them.
Can you also clarify Sungmin's question?
Sure.
I mean, how is it that the president was still tired 12 days after returning from Europe, had a cold, but then went to the Waffle House, and then the following day staged such a huge comeback that he gave those North Carolina remarks? Like, help us understand.
Have you had a cold before?
Of course I've had a
Okay,
cold before.
so
but
you
we-
probably, well, come on, Jackie. Let's be very, let's be.
12 days
I-
after
Come on,
returning.
Jackie.
And
You
you
also-
jet lag yesterday.
Hold on a second. There's a cold, there's a jet lag. You combine that. He continues to work for the American people day in and day out, around the clock. Things happen. And the cold thing is something that you all pointed out during his debate. We didn't even point that out. You all pointed out when you heard his voice being hoarse, because he knew he had to push through. He knew he has to power through. That's what presidents do. If you care about this country and you don't care about yourself, you care about the American people, you care about delivering for this country, you care about how you're going to continue to work every day in and day out, you push through. We've all do that.
Because all these Democrats
We've
who are
all
saying
do
they want
that.
to see him,
But
it speaks to that.
But we're not.
Once
we're
again,
not- we
please make
didn't
sure as you're
share
liking.
that
We're getting this is
information
live
ahead
footage.
of
You
time.
can't beat
You all
this for the
asked
wind
what was
down. This is
going on,
live
and then we
footage.
shared
Press
that
secretary,
information.
let's listen.
We didn't
Please make
use
sure that you like
we didn't
and
use
share.
that
Share.
before the debate. You all asked, hey, is he under the weather? And we confirmed that he was under the weather. He pushed through. That's what this president does. He is going to continue to fight
that feels like
for
a
the
hard
American
job.
people. So he pushed through it. I think anybody who does that, not just the president, should be commended. And he also said, you heard him say this on Friday, when you get knocked down, you get back up. That's what you saw.
Is there any discussion that if the president were to
It
suspend
sounds like
his
she got that from
campaign,
Jill
that he would
Biden,
also
Dr.
resign? Is
Jill.
there any discussions about
absolutely
the vice
not.
president assuming his duties?
Absolutely.
What y'all
not.
having for the wind down? We having a little rosé.
Does the president have a duty to review data, like polling information that's coming in, donor information, the fears and concerns or anxieties expressed by Democrats? Does he have a duty to review what's happening now?
When you say a duty, can you say more about the
You're
duty
saying
piece?
that he's absolutely running.
Yeah. Well, he's saying that, and I'm sharing with you his view.
And we would invite the president to come here and tell us that directly.
Noted, Kelly.
But
He's awake.
that's inappropriate.
As you heard from your colleague, the president of the WHGI, that's inappropriate. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, I just want to set the stage here. I'm going to chime in. We're going to go to break, our first of the hour. We're in a new hour. So you heard that exchange.
Sheesh. You heard my man tap in. This is live. So this is live. I want to keep playing it live. If what I'll do is I'll keep paying attention. I'll try to keep paying attention in the background, but we got a show to get to, so we can't pay attention to them too long. So we'll let y'all get in the room maybe for another minute. We'll see if they get back into that conversation. But if not, we're going to start the show. So we'll listen to it for another minute and then we'll get right to the show. But as I said, please make sure that you're liking. It's going to help for the algorithm. Like, share with a friend. We want as many different perspectives as possible. That's what we're missing in this country. That's what we're missing in a lot of our individual lives. All we hear are the people in our bubble. We do not hear outside perspectives. So therefore, anything outside of what we hear on a day-to-day basis, we think is extreme, and that's not necessarily the case. So let's continue.
Maybe you didn't. It's from 10 to 4 during the president's workday, and so that is presumably what James Rosen was alluding to there as well. So if you didn't catch it, I wanted to make sure I pointed it out there for you. All right, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, though, we're moving away from the Biden White House to the Biden campaign, updates on the Trump campaign and the campaign of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. On defense after this scathing profile about him in Vanity Fair. More on that in 2 minutes.
That's something that we're going to have to get into. So let me get rid of this. A little bit of a different start to the show. Wasn't expecting them to be on live at the actual press conference. I heard that they were going to do a press conference. However, wasn't sure when it was going to be. But yo, good to see y'all. I'm in amazing spirits. Hold on. Let me make sure that I'm hitting up the chat. My apologies first and foremost. Let me turn my phone off. It looks like Big Bro Doug is in the building. I just got an alert that Big Bro Doug is in the building. I'm going to turn my alerts off. But why am I so happy, man? I'm telling you, the last show that y'all been rocking out with me, the last show that y'all rocked out with me, I think it's almost up to 1,000 views. Now we get excited about just having the conversation with everybody that typically comes. But when more people when more people join and enjoy it, or at least take away some lessons from it, it's always a plus. Like I said, the more people having the conversations, the better. So let me shout y'all out in the chat. And what are y'all having? What are y'all having drinks wise? Let me know who's in the building. You know, write something in the chat. Something. If it's my mom and dad, y'all don't have to write anything. I know y'all there. I'm trying to. So right now, look what just happened. My damn thing broke, and now I don't want to make it a thing. Maybe I just shouldn't be having wine tonight. Maybe that's what that's telling me. 1 second, I'm gonna try something, and if it doesn't work, then I just won't have it. But I want to take these off so I don't mess these up. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I got to have my wine, so I got to just see if I can figure this out. 1 second. And now we can properly begin the show. All right, so y'all know what it is. It's the wind down. Y'all see, matter of fact, hold on. Why didn't y'all correct me? Hold on. Y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. I got this thing. It's the wind down. It's not the wake up, baby. That's for Monday and then on Friday. All right, so what we got today? So we got an interesting show today. If you saw the title, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris, whether or not she is the ultimate DEI hire. All right, we're going to talk about that. We're going to actually start off in a different place. We're going to start off with our OG Elevate. I had an OG Elevate experience that I want to share with y'all because I think that is something that a lot of people can have a takeaway as far as implementing it into your own life. Everything is so toxic. Y'all know the environment that these powers that be have created. and that we've allowed them to create by manipulating us and creating all this fear mongering and hatred. So therefore, I got a tactic for y'all to use in y'all day-to-day conversations that I think will make a difference, because it made a difference in mine. All right, what are we gonna talk? What else we got? We got a couple different videos. We're gonna show Kamala making an appearance at the BET Awards. That was interesting. We're gonna talk a little bit about. Well, we're going to start the OG Elevate moment. It's going to sound like a pretty weird OG Elevate moment, but it actually has to do with abortions. I got a health tip for y'all today. I was talking to my mother yesterday, and I told her that, I said, Mom, the last 3 days, I've only had 3 meals. I had 1 meal each day. She's like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. She got on me. I said, just wait until tomorrow's show. Maybe you'll change your tune. So we're going to start with the OG Elevate. Then we're going to get into some health guides. Just a little health guide for y'all, and then we're going to move into a couple other topics if we have time. I think do we have a business tip for y'all today? Not sure if we have a business tip for y'all today, but then we got a couple different other videos, kind of life skills videos. So we got like a life skill video, and then we probably won't make it to anything else, but if we do, we got a question from Doug. Actually, I'm not sure if Doug is still here. I'm sure Doug is still here, but Doug gave us an interesting question, and then we're going to share. I got a couple different segments, some new segments. So some questions from the team. So we got a question from Doug, and then we got another segment. I know if y'all are in y'all 30s, 40s, 20s, I know a lot of y'all are going to feel me on this one. And it's when your parents get a hold of social media. So my dad is notorious for sending out reel after reel after reel. If he sees something funny, if he sees something that's amazing, anything, if he sees something on Instagram, he's going to send it to everybody. So we got a little segment just for my pops. What parents send us on social media. That should be pretty cool. And then we'll finish it off and send y'all on your way. So let's get into the show. What are we going to start with? Let me get back to my schedule. All right, so we're going to start with the OG Elevate. All right, let me get the chat open. Pour a little bit of my wine. Cheers to an amazing show. All right, so OG Elevate. So obviously, with everything that's been going on with the presidential debate, abortion seems to be one of those things that just always comes up. The abortion ban. I saw Kamala actually write. I'm not even on Kamala yet, but I saw Kamala put up a tweet, and she put up a tweet pretty much doing the same fear mongering that you see a lot of the Democrats doing. And it was talking about how if Trump wins, he's going to put this abortion ban, even though Trump made it very clear in the debate that that's not what he's going to do. I think that the question that they asked him was regarding special circumstances and then also the pill, and he said he's fine with both. He's not going to touch those. But of course, they use the fear mongering, and we were having a conversation. I was having a conversation with somebody close to me, somebody very close to me, who's a lady in her mid-30s, and we were talking about the abortion ban, how we see it, how we may see it differently. And I've had these conversations before, and typically when I'm having them with a woman, regardless of what points I'm making, it ends up getting back to a position, well, you'll never know what it's like. So therefore, you either shouldn't comment on it, or my opinion should be weighed heavier than yours. So obviously, Democrats on one side, Republicans on one side, and I want to be very clear. I do not think that the Republicans just have this moral compass and just have greater principles, and that just people with more integrity just because they say that they're pro-life. I don't necessarily think that. All right. I really think that it's just the gang wars. If the Democrats choose this side, the Republicans naturally choose this side. People like to say it goes back to religious principles. I don't believe that. Why I don't believe that? Because first and foremost, and we're not going to get into the whole religious conversation, but a lot of religious people like to use religion when it's in their best interest. to say, oh, God, would want us to be pro-life. Perhaps. But then I would ask a lot of these religious people how they feel about the fact that religion is probably responsible for killing more people throughout the history of this world than anything else. We good? All right, so we're good. So we don't need to get into that religious conversation. So like I said, it's a lot of picking and choosing. I don't just think that Republicans, because they tend to be more pro-life and more conservative, that they have necessarily better principles in this particular area. All right, in this particular area. I think that for the most part, they just ended up on that side. They just end up on that side of the argument. So as I was having this conversation in real life, I did what I think that most Republicans and Democrats should do. And it goes back to the question that Doug asked me that I was going to share with y'all later. But Doug asked the question just in a text. And he said, we always talk about people being on extreme ends. But what exactly would you consider extreme, whether on the left or the right? Like, what are real examples? This obviously is one of those things that has become extremely polarizing. This topic, extreme. It's like people are either super, no abortions, or it seems like that, at least, that people are. I don't think people necessarily are like this, but that's the point. Or it seems as if, the Republicans, super duper pro-life, the Democrats, pro-choice, my body, my choice, my reproductive rights. We hear both sides, but we typically hear the people that are on extreme ends of the spectrums. I think the majority of the people are in the middle. The majority of people are rational, principled people and can understand both sides. Maybe not to an extreme degree, but they can understand both sides. Why? Well, I understand somebody getting aborted. Oh, I understand, abortion. There are too many of them having an issue with them. So in this conversation that I was having, we did what I think, and we've talked about it on this show, what Republicans and Democrats should do. Come together and figure out, okay, Democrats, you guys are the ones saying, oh, my body, my choice, all this other stuff. You're fighting for these reproductive rights, quote unquote reproductive rights, which I have an issue with the name. The fact that we're calling terminating babies reproductive rights. Unless I'm mistaken, reproducing is having a baby. So I don't think anybody's fighting for their rights to have babies. I think that we're fighting for the right to be able to terminate their pregnancy based on different situations occurring, whether extreme or not extreme, depending on which side of the argument that you're on. So let's just be clear with that. So when I introduced this in the conversation, there was a barrier. It's like, well, it is reproductive. It is reproductive. And I said, how can you have reproductive rights and fall in the same category? Condoms, things that people are proactive with, right? Proactive and being responsible in order to not be pregnant. Condoms, birth control, all the different things that come along with it. We're going to put that in the same category as getting pregnant and then terminating your pregnancy, whether it's the first trimester, the second trimester, and we can get into all those different conversations. So as we're having a back and forth, I said, well, what do you think would be best? Like, what do you think would be best? Because clearly having conversations with this particular person, she always identifies the fact that what an abortion can do to somebody, how it impacts you, not only from a physical standpoint, but spiritually and mentally. And I said, well, if it does impact you so much, then why would we be almost promoting it and allowing companies that make a lot of money off of it, like a Planned Parenthood, to get behind this movement and to push it when you know that they're only trying to do as many as possible and make women, whether young or older, okay with it and look at it as a bit more trivial than what it actually is, so they'll be more comfortable going forward with the process. So that's one side of it. On the other side, she was saying, well, I've been through a situation where I needed to have an emergency situation. I was very close to that situation, so I understood. And I understand that in a state like Texas, where they have an abortion ban, where it's illegal to have abortions, that a doctor may be hesitant to give a young lady the proper care that she needs, which may end up being terminating the pregnancy in order to save her life, a doctor may be hesitant just based on the fact that they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to deal with the legal repercussions that may come from it if it's deemed that it was not necessary to actually perform the abortion. So you have the two different sides, right? We have the two different sides. And just being somebody who works with doctors, for one, I want to make it very clear. And let me make sure that I'm paying attention to any comments in the chat. But just working with doctors, I want to make it very clear. I do not trust doctors, the majority of them. I do not trust them from a moral standpoint to do what's right. I do not trust them to put themselves on the line, even though they're scared of what may happen legally, or they're scared of what may happen to and impact their pockets if they lose their medical license. I do not trust them. There are exceptions, but we tend to put doctors and lawyers and politicians on this high pedestal, and they do not have the morals and integrity that we believe that they do. So I totally understand that if I'm a young woman, or any woman, I shouldn't say just young, if I'm a woman growing up in Texas where my life is on the line, or I believe that my life is on the line, because what happens in a lot of these situations, doctors don't know. Doctors do not know. This person that I was speaking to, who's very close to me, I don't want to put any info out, but was in a situation where the hospital actually sent her home saying that she's okay. But she just felt that something was wrong, reached out to another doctor, and then emergency surgery had to happen in order to prevent her from losing her life. So I understand both sides, but for whatever reason, some of the most intelligent people that we put in the room, Democrats and Republicans, we can't get to some sort of agreement where we're seeing eye to eye on this. So it's very simple for me. Hey, in a situation like this, I think it should be very clear that doctors can use their discretion. We trust the doctors to do everything else, right? I don't think that you should have to get approval from a judge, or not to say that you do, but I don't think that you should have that hanging over your head as a doctor. Like, hey, if I do this procedure, I may have some repercussions, maybe. What is a doctor going to do? A doctor is going to tell that young lady, hey, no, you're fine. Doctor doesn't. Let me be very clear. It's not that a doctor doesn't care if that young lady dies, but a doctor is just prioritizing a lot of other things until it gets to a point where maybe it may be too late, because now they're like, okay, I'll try to save her. And it may be too late. I do not trust doctors. I do not. So I understand that. So moving on with our conversation, because I want to make sure that I'm not taking up too much time. Moving on, I said, you know what? What would you suggest? Ask that question, which I think is what a lot of people on both sides should ask. What would you suggest? I asked what you would suggest and said, you know what? And she said, to her credit, you know what? I actually do believe I'm not comfortable with a lot of the casual abortions that are had. I'm not comfortable as people. And I can tell you as a man in our 20s and our 30s, especially, we look at abortions, and this is very sad to say, and men should keep it real. We look at abortions as, oh, she just went and got a little pap smear or something. She'll be all right. That's how we look at it, because we are super duper selfish. And all we care about is the fact that, oh, well, I just ain't trying to have no baby with her, so therefore she got to have it. We're not taking into account of how that may impact her physically, spiritually, as well as mentally. We're not taking into account. And what I believe that a lot of young ladies, y'all can tell me, what I believe that a lot of young ladies end up thinking is the fact that, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, young ladies growing up is like, oh, that's an alternative. That's like a birth control. No, that's not birth control. That's a termination of pregnancy. That's not the same thing as the pill. But when we grow up thinking these things, and women who, and this is the pushback that I get when I say what I just said to women that have had abortions, they say, well, no, I think young women, they know that it's a traumatizing experience. Okay, well, why have they had 3 more since then? It obviously wasn't that traumatizing to the point where you decided to be more responsible and either use a condom, or pull out, do something. Figure it out. I'm just being honest. You allowed somebody to ejaculate in you. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to be at risk. Like, damn, like we at least pay attention to when you're ovulating. Like and the reason why I'm saying these things is because I realize that when you're not trying to get pregnant, it seems like it's super easy to get pregnant, right? But when you're actually trying, you realize like, yo, hold up, this got to fall within these couple days for this to actually happen. And you start to realize like, damn, so people who just keep getting pregnant with people that they don't want it, they claim that they don't want to get pregnant with because they end up having abortions, they must just be out here just tripping. Just tripping to the point where you're not even taking any responsibility in it, but that's based on how society has deemed it. So we're back to the conversation. I told her, I said, okay, well, since you're not cool with, once the embryo turns into a fetus, or I forget the exact terminology, once the baby has a heartbeat, I believe that's what she said. She said, once the baby has a heartbeat, I'm not cool with those abortions. Okay, so then why don't we have maybe a cap at that point, whatever point that is. So, people can have abortions, even though there's going to be a lot of people on the other side saying, well, no, it's not. This is not against my religion. It's not you, so don't worry about it. You'll be all right. Let that person deal with it when they meet Jesus or whoever in the afterlife. Let them deal with it, right? What I'm trying to say is we have to come to some sort of middle ground. If we don't come to some sort of middle ground, the options that are presented are just going to get more and more extreme. So we'll end up further and further apart. So she said, okay, boom, I would be fine with capping it here. And I would be fine with, if it's after this, it's only okay if it's to save the woman's life. Cool. I'm cool with that. So then what I suggested is, I don't like the fact that it's called reproductive rights. You're going to see videos with Kamala and Taraji, and the first thing that they do to try to trigger women is to say they're trying to take our reproductive rights. They're trying to decide what we can do with our body. There's a lot of laws out here that decide what you can and can't do with your body. Matter of fact, somebody check it. Isn't it? It's illegal to kill yourself, right? Like, you can't commit suicide. Like, isn't that illegal? Like, if you attempt to commit. So, and there's a lot of other things that I could mention, but that was just one that just came to me. The point is that just because it's your body does not mean that you have the ability to do anything to it. It's just not the world that we live in. It's just not the world that we live in. And to be totally honest, I don't think that we're responsible enough to even make those decisions based on how often we see people having these abortions. And it's so funny that the people that are pushing for abortions to, oh yeah, let's have abortions. Let's have abortions. It's cool. It's not like those people are taking any steps to making it a less sexualized culture. So we won't be having as much casual sex. We talked about it before on this show. The very people that are telling you, yo, it's okay to have, sex. Planned Parenthood promoting all these people telling us, oh yeah, you have casual sex. Why? Because it's going to end up with them making money. They know that. Look at Big Pharma. It's the same thing. All of these big corporations, name me a huge corporation, whether it's healthcare, whether it's the education system, whether it's food and drugs. Name me a big corporation that cares about you more than they care about their bottom line. You can't name it. You can't name it. Why do you think people are so scared of RFK Jr.? Because this is what he has a history of fighting for a very long time. So therefore, if he has a history of fighting these things for a very long time, and we're going to get into this as far as the relationship between Big Pharma and the politicians, we're going to get into it a little bit later if I ever shut up. But just based on, let me kind of wrap this story up. Let me put a bow on it because I wasn't expected to talk this long on this topic. Republicans and Democrats, can we come to some sort of agreement? And I wanted to make my last point was that maybe we should not call it reproductive rights. Maybe it should have more of a violent name. Maybe it should have a name that describes what's happening, that describes what a woman actually goes through, rather than when you hear reproductive rights. Well, nobody's trying to take away your right to reproduce. You're fighting for your right to terminate your reproduction process. So maybe if we came up with a different name, your right to end pregnancy, I don't know. But for me, so like I said, I gave the person, I said, okay, well, even if somebody's okay with, not okay with abortions up until this point or for emergencies, I'm cool with that. Okay, now are you willing to meet somewhere in the middle on the other issue as far as maybe changing the name? Imagine if we changed the name of it and didn't categorize it as, if we didn't categorize abortion as reproductive rights. Why don't you call it abortion rights? That's what it is. But they try to call it reproductive rights to make it more casual. And the reason why I'm saying call it abortion rights is because maybe that will wake more people up to understanding what is actually happening when they go through that process, rather than just looking at it as taking the pill or, another form of birth control. So that's where we left it. That's where we were. Please. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. We got 1,500 we got 15,000 in the building. Yo, make sure that you real quick. Make sure that you like. It's going to help for the algorithm. Like I said, we want as many people having these convos as possible. All right, let me get to the chat and then we're going to get to the meat of the discussion. All right. Instant Defense says it never goes away. Ew, I'm here. My brother Ken is here. We got some good insight from Ken. Ken actually shared some dope videos that we're getting ready to discuss with Kamala. So Brett, definitely appreciate you, brother. Instant Defense. Well, you just stepped in religious territory. I'm the type of person, I'm going to call it out. No matter who I need to criticize, I'm going to call it out. It is what it is. I've had my ups and downs when it comes to religion. To the point I couldn't stand religion. And then I got to a point more recently, I'm like, yo, maybe we need religion. And now, so it's not about me being on one side or another. I'm going to call out certain stuff with Democrats. I'm going to call out certain stuff with Republicans. I have a bigger dislike for Democrats because I've invested in them. The same way if I invested in one business compared to another. If I invested in this business and they promised me a certain return and I never got that return and continued to invest, I'm going to have ill feelings towards that business and that investment compared to this investment where I just never invested in. I may not like their product as much, but I never really invested in them. So therefore, they didn't really make their product catering to the things that I wanted the product to do. So if that analogy hopefully works. Shy clown. I know she clowning probably about me getting into religion. Ken wrote, dude, insurance companies don't even believe doctors. Like they didn't go to medical school. Bro, all right. Speaking of doctors, this is the reason why I say I don't trust doctors. Doctors are just as much sheep as anybody else. Just as much sheep as anybody else. We think because they make a little bit more money or maybe a lot more money, depending on the doctors. Not all of them, though. A lot of them struggling. And a lot of them are struggling and making certain decisions to do surgeries for people that don't necessarily need them because they're struggling. Y'all may want to look at some of these. I don't know if y'all look at some of these articles, but yeah, I was recently at an event and the first thing that my buddy told me, he was like, yo, you heard what happened? Showed me a couple articles and I'm like, damn, these people do anything for some more money. All right. Instant Defense. I think of babies as hot dogs. All right. Donald Perez, hit the road, Jack, and don't chew back no more. Oh, I got a little bit. We got a little bit of extra weirdo energy in the building. We may have to. We may start having to have somebody control the chat. A lot of weird energy in the building, but y'all know, ignore that type of energy if it does come. I don't know how. Yo, I've never got to this point where I had to delete somebody's comment. Oh, all right. Yeah, all jokes, but bro, keep it. We like to try to keep it a little bit not necessarily PG, but we like to keep it respectful to the point where my parents can hear it. So my parents always tune into the show. So if you could just keep it respectful to that point, that'll be amazing. But other than that, we good to go. We good to clown. We good to have fun. We want to grow, but also enjoy ourselves. So it's all good, brother. It's all good. You're new to the chat, so it is all good. We're not going to make a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. All right, so let's move on. Let's move on. Before we get into the big topic, I got to share with you. I got to share. Yeah, I got to share with y'all. I told y'all I got to stick to the schedule. So before we get into the big topic, I promised y'all that I would share with y'all some health tips. And we are going to get into those right now. I should already have it queued up. If I don't, then we are going straight to, why isn't it? Oh, it's doing what it did again. All right, so we're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot. One of the top 3 business tips: being able to pivot. So we will pivot, and we will get into the meat of the show, and then we'll get into the health tip towards the end. All right, so let me pull up. We're gonna ask Kamala to come to the stage. We are going to ask Kamala. So I want y'all to ask in the chat, do y'all consider Kamala Harris a DEI hire? I need y'all to answer that for me. Do y'all consider her a DEI hire? Now, you're probably wondering, well, what exactly is DEI hire, right? A DEI, people look at DEI all different types of ways. I'm not a fan of what DEI has been presented as. I am a huge fan of DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, and understanding that different people's diversity of thought, diversity perspective, diversity of skill, they all can come together and be very valuable for a team. Hold on, let me take a second. Think about your favorite sports team. Think about sports that you played growing up. I played football. Football is probably the sport that highlights the value of DEI the most. Let me make sure. Let me see if anybody's commented. Don't nobody want to say if Kamala's a DEI hire, huh? So the reason why I bring up football is because being on the football team, you know that you don't want everybody on your team to look like a wide receiver. It's good for your wide receiver to be built tall, slender, fast, athletic, but that doesn't mean anything in the trenches when you need to block a 300-pound, 6'5" defensive end or a 350-pound nose tackle from sacking your quarterback or from tackling your running back, right? You need different people. Even from a coaching staff standpoint, you need different types of people, different thought processes based on different positions. You need your quarterback to think differently than your D tackle. Funny, I heard, let me give you a real quick one. So I don't know if y'all are a fan of Deion Sanders. So maybe I'll show this clip next time. But Deion, I don't know whether he was talking about diversity, but he was just going through it. And he said that for his quarterbacks, he wants a 2-parent home, good in school. He listed, I think he said at least a 3.6 GPA, not getting in any trouble. And he went through a bunch of lists. Then he said, my D tackle, single mother, low GPA. He said something. I don't know if he said low GPA, but he said maybe coming from an impoverished background. And he just need to eat. He need to get mama out the hood. That's how I like my D tackle. I say that not to get on Deion or not to agree with it. I say that just to show that it requires different people to succeed based on, a guy like Deion. So is Kamala Harris the ultimate DEI hire? I think she is. And my problem with DEI is when you're bringing somebody to a position where it's not based on their merit. And whenever I have this conversation with people that are older than me, let's say like my dad and my mom, I think DEI started off as one thing, but then morphed into something else. I think it started off where it was more so, okay, here we are going to just expand the pool. So we're going to keep the same standards. So let's say the standard is a 3.6 with a 1,000 score on your SAT. I'm just talking about getting into college. We're going to keep that same standard, and we're just going to expand our pool to now look in other areas still for students that qualify for that 3.6 and 1,000 on the SAT score. I believe what DEI has turned into now is because it's being pushed and promoted so much. And it's one of those things that they have like DEI scores. Did y'all know that companies have DEI scores? So because it's something that's highlighted in the public so much, I believe that companies are now going out of their way to hire people, and they'll double it up when it comes to Black women, because here, you got she's Black and a woman, so you got 2 for 1. And I think it's not necessarily as based on the merit as it used to be. I don't think it is. And what I think it does is it makes people delusional. When you give somebody a job without them deserving it, and shout out to Robert Greene. If you guys are readers, I'm reading the 48 Laws of Power. The second law is talking about when you give your friend something, it talks about instead of bringing on your friends to your team, bring on your enemies, your friends who you give stuff. And I'm not even going to get into the reasons why, but he was just pretty much making the point and telling a story that when you give a friend something that they don't deserve, we think that they're going to appreciate it and work harder. But what ends up happening is when you continue to get things that you do not deserve, you forget that you were given a handout. You may have made the most of it, but you forget that you were giving something that you did not particularly deserve at that time. And you start to become delusional to the point where you actually think that you were put in that position because of your merits, not because you're a Black woman. And Democrats made it extremely clear and put a whole lot of pressure on you, especially the Black community, saying that, hey, if Joe Biden doesn't bring on a Black woman as a VP, then we're not supporting him. They didn't say if Joe Biden doesn't bring on a qualified person who has these particular qualifications. No, they said a Black woman. So now you have Kamala, who's in a position that I don't believe that she's qualified for. And I don't even think that they allow her. I don't think that they believe that she's qualified for it. Here you have Joe Biden, who looks like he's on his last leg. Looks like he's on his last leg. You would expect Kamala for the last 3 years, maybe longer, to be able to take more of a strong position in a lot of these situations to where she can be the one out front. But it's almost as if they're scared to put her in the spotlight because they know that she was just giving the job because she's a Black woman. So let me kind of go to my notes and make sure that I'm covering everything. And I want to show y'all. So as we go through it, we're going to show y'all a couple different clips. We're just going to start with the one that I think this is the one that Ken was telling me about. So let me share the screen. We'll take a look at this video. Yeah. We'll take a look at it and we'll see what y'all think. We'll get your thoughts on it. And let me hold on, my fault. Let me catch up with the chat. So it says, hold on. I see Ken wrote, absolutely. Hold on, let me get it shared and then I'll read the chats. Let me get it shared. All right, so we're shared. All right, let me catch up with the chat. So Ken wrote, absolutely, she was barely qualified for her position. I agree. I agree. Shy wrote, yes, she is. I haven't seen her until the BET Awards talking about she in these streets. Shy. This is the conversation that Ken and I were just having. So for people that haven't seen the video, who have no idea what Shy is talking about when she said that she's in these streets, this is what when you see the video, you'll understand. Instant Defense wrote, Democrats are dumb as hell. And then he wrote, or she wrote, you don't read my comments. Ken wrote, there's no problem with a deal as long as they are highly capable of the position. Don't give someone the job because of diversification only. I agree. And what it does is, I think that you're actually hurting the person. And what keeps coming to mind as we're having this conversation is LeBron and Bronny James. It just is what it is. It just keeps coming to mind. But we're going to save that conversation for Friday. But when Ken wrote, her poll numbers are terrible. To be totally honest, you know what's so funny about it? For one, I don't think that Joe Biden's actually running anything. I think that Barack Obama's just behind the scenes running stuff. So in reality, I don't think that much would change if Kamala was in office as far as policy wise. I think we would continue to get the same thing that Barack Obama's been introducing since he's been in office. The thing is, I don't agree with those things. So therefore, I wouldn't vote for that because I don't agree with a lot of Barack's policies. I don't agree with a lot of Joe Biden's policies. I don't agree with them always saying that they're going to do certain things and then not following through and always making excuses while they're always able to follow through on the things for other groups. So that's why I wouldn't vote for them. I think it's very important for the person that we're voting for to actually have some type of capability in running something, in making decisions. Look, I don't believe that most head coaches on football teams, I think that the best head coaches on football teams, besides like a Bill Belichick, and even Bill Belichick from a certain standpoint, Bill Belichick is a defensive guy. He doesn't know as much as the offense, maybe as much as his offensive coordinator, but that's why you hire people. Bill Belichick and Brady are a little bit different. Those are anomalies. Those are exceptions. But generally, the teams that I've been on, the best coaches, as far as head coaches, are the ones that can manage everybody. My head coach in college did not know anywhere near as much as our defensive coordinator. But that doesn't mean that our D coordinator would do a better job at head coach. Head coaching requires totally different skills. You're going to manage everybody. You're going to be seen as the face of the team. You're going to be able to manage press conferences, manage personalities, not just amongst the coaching staff, but amongst the players. All these different things go into account. So therefore, even if Joe Biden did come out and say, listen, I'm the president, but I'm more so I got a very good staff that I work with. So you guys I would still feel some type of way, because it's like, bro, well, tell us who that staff is. Tell us who that staff is. We need to know exactly who's making the decisions, because when you vote for one person, you're not expecting somebody else to be running things. So let's look at this video that I've been teasing y'all with. And I want to hear y'all thoughts. And it should be on. See, I had it queued at the right. Hold on, let me.
Here is Kamala Harris turning up the cringe to atomic levels.
No.
So just real quick, this was on the BET Awards. If you're not familiar with the other lady in here, it's Taraji P. Henson, who's just been super thirsty, but we'll talk about that later. Let's keep
no, Taraji. Now, you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real, ain't you? You know. So what's on your mind?
I'm going to play it through and then I'm going to play it again.
I'm worried about the election. Women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, Madam VP. I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here on these streets.
Hold up. She funny for that. And yo, that's what people be looking at us saying. That's what people look at us. That's why it's hard for me to support these goofy BET shows. I just can't get with it. I can't get with it. I honestly can't stand what Black culture has turned into. I can't even say what it's turned into. I can't stand what Black culture has been for a very long time. But let's go back to the beginning of the video. And now I wanted to play it through, but now I'm going to address some of the things in the video.
Turning up the cringe
Taraji, now you know I wouldn't do that.
levels.
No, Taraji, now you know I wouldn't do that, especially not to a fellow bison. The real.
So if you know about bison, they're talking about Howard. So they always try to highlight the fact that Kamala went to Howard to make her blacker, to appeal to the Black community. Let's keep going. And Taraji went there as well.
So what's on your mind?
Oh, Madam VP Harris, I'm worried about the election.
I'm going to tell you what Taraji's worried about. Taraji just came out, I believe, in the last year crying, saying that actresses don't get paid. You know, we're not making any money. And she's crying on TV. She's looking for a handout. She's looking for a handout. And that's why we've seen so many of these celebrities that where it's like out the blue, now you're just super political. And now you're just involved. And now you're the voice that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden is going to lean to see what's happening in the streets. Shout out to my guy, Fat Joe. But Fat Joe doing the same thing. And I've spoken to him about it. So it is what it is. He know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, and she knows what she's doing. They are simply just looking for a bag. And it's very easy for them because they've grown up with this indoctrination that the Democrats are the most amazing people. Those are the people that are for black people. Meanwhile, the Republicans are the big, bad, boogeyman, racist people. So therefore, it's easy for her to do stuff like this. But these aren't people that actually look into politics and actually look into what these policies do and the result. They don't study what Lyndon B. Johnson has done and all these social programs and what they turned into and how they are responsible for a lot of the very issues that we suffer from now. They're not looking at that. They're not looking at how we were getting married at a much higher rate before Lyndon B. Johnson put in these social programs that incentivize women to not have men in the household. They're not looking at these things. They are just puppets, no different than what Kamala Harris has turned into, just a puppet to communicate with the rest of the black community. Let's keep going.
Women's reproductive rights are on the line.
I'm just going to say what I said before. We already talked about this. Your ability to reproduce, Taraji, is not on the line. It's not. Now, certain things that happen during your reproductive process, as far as terminating that process, are on the line. Now, just say that. Just say that. Why do we play these games? Why do we have play these word games where it's like, no, your reproductive rights are not on the line? And I don't understand why other people are not saying the same thing.
Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic women's reproductive rights are on the line. Our Supreme Court is on the line.
What does that even mean? Our Supreme Court is on the line. What does that even mean? It's on the line. All right, what's on the line? I know what she's insinuating, but the fact, like, all they do is throw stuff out. Break it down for us. What's on the line? What's on the line?
Our basic freedoms are being tested, madam.
What basic freedoms are being tested? What basic freedoms are being tested? Do you think all these migrants, these illegal immigrants, let me be very clear, people that came in here illegally, do you think that she feels the same way, that their freedoms being tested? And if they are, maybe maybe if Taraji feels that way, maybe that says something about your party. The fact that your party is making it real comfy for people who come in here illegally, but damn, your life is still that rough. These people getting credit cards, insurance, all this stuff. Yeah, I ain't even got health insurance right now. Shit, excuse my language. These people are coming in here getting all these benefits, and here you're still complaining like the victim black woman or the victim black person, period. And what do you decide to do? Continue to put your faith and your investment in the same group that you've been complaining to and supporting for the last, I don't know how many years.
Line. Our Supreme Court is on the line. Our basic freedoms are being tested, madam.
Why are your basic freedoms being tested? What is with all the dramatics? Whose basic freedoms are being tested? Who's walking around feeling like your basic freedoms are being tested? What are you referring to?
Pete, I know you've been traveling across the country. What are you hearing?
Yeah, girl.
I just had to pause it because this may be the most, as what they say, cringe part of this entire conversation.
I'm out here in these streets, and let me tell you, you're.
How many times you think she recited? How many times you think she recited that line? That they're out in here in these streets. How many times do you think she went over that line? All right, you got to say it like this. How many times you think she may have even gone over it with Taraji? Nah, Madam President, say it like this. I'm out here in these streets. Why are you saying that? And I said it earlier on my post. Why is it that, doesn't this say a lot about like the bait that somebody uses to catch you says a lot about who you are? I don't know if anybody's a fisherman, fisherwoman. Now I got to be careful, right? I don't know if anybody fishes. Catfish. Catfish are known as bottom feeders. They'll eat anything. You put a hot dog in there, piece of bread, corn, whatever it is, live warm, dead warm, it doesn't matter. They'll damn near take a bite at something that's not even food because they eat everything. They're bottom feeders. They're bait. So the bait, and let's say in a relationship, what it takes to, I know women ain't getting courted now. weird stuff going on in relationships, but what somebody used to have to do to court you, that's the bait that they're using to catch you. So I have to ask y'all, why is it that all of these professional people that are trying to connect and capture the attention and support of Black people, their go-to strategy is to sound as ignorant and niggerish as possible? I'm out here in these streets. You sound like a 18-year-old thought hood booger who knows nothing, not like our vice president. Why are you trying to sound like that? I'm out here in these streets. You sound like a lost little boy who grew up without proper male leadership. That's what you sound like. Why? Why is that the way that they choose to connect with us? Why do they think that that's appealing to us? Why do they think if they use this type of language that that will be attractive to us? And even if that's the way that people communicate in their community, do you think that that community wants their vice president speaking like that? I may be wrong. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Matter of fact, I would actually lean towards I am wrong. Because think about what Barack. Nobody knows about Barack's policies. Nobody knows that Barack was the first person putting in all this LGBTQ stuff to start to a lot of this weirdo stuff that's going on right now. And I'm talking about the movement, not the people. Y'all know I separate the movement, the LGBTQ plus movement, from people that are actually LGBTQ plus. Just like I separate, I got to say the whole spiel again, just like I separate Black people from Black Lives Matter, right? Y'all see the difference? Okay, we can move on. Why do you think that she's using this type of language? Why? It's an insult. It's embarrassing. It's pitiful. Look at how this lady responds. She's laughing at us. She's laughing at us.
You're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality.
Why do they, is there currently slavery going on right now and I'm just in Miami, but I'm just in a pocket to where I'm not aware of it? Like, why is it always that they talk about our freedoms? This is, you know what this is? This is a lack of accountability. This is a lack of accountability. Most people are in the position that they're in, not because of the government, not because of this person or that person. What you're in that position because you're putting in some faith in somebody else to come save you. Whether it's Jesus coming back, whether it's your pastor, whether it's a politician and a political party, whether it's your parents, I don't know what it is. Most people are in the position that they're in for no other reason than themselves. But here you listen to this and you feel like you're in the 60s fighting for civil rights. What are we talking about? What freedoms, what liberties, what are we talking about?
But these extremists, as they say, they're not like us.
It's embarrassing. Look at how she laughs.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here on these streets. What the hell was that? And did the vape just call half the country, indeed more than half according to recent polls, extremists? Did she call half the country?
All right, let me catch up with the chats. My fault. We got my people in the building. We got my family. Stop what you're doing right now. Show my family some love. We got Lana in the building. We got Urs in the building. You heard 16K. You heard facts. What streets you in? It's weird energy. Maya wrote very cringe. I don't get it. But what bothers me a lot? And I have this conversation in my day-to-day. It really bothers me a lot. And I have to always find myself pulling back and not getting emotionally involved. What bothers me is the fact that we will sit here and see this. Now, I'm talking specifically to the Black community right now, or anybody actually, but the issue that I'm talking about, it happens across the board, but the issue that I'm talking about, I'm just going to, whatever. Why do people see problems? Identify the issues to those problems. Identify the foundation of where they started. Identify the solution to solving the problem. But it's like we never take that next step. We never take that next step, or there's always like a division where it's like, okay, the younger people, we understand it, but the older people, because, well, y'all weren't around during Jim Crow, so y'all don't. It's like, yo, why can't we just, I don't know. Very weird, very cringe. We'll watch maybe another couple seconds of this and then we'll move on to the next video.
Country extremists, we mock lefties losing it, but sometimes they're just downright evil. And wasn't it nice to see one of Kamala's lies called out on X after she posted Donald Trump would ban abortion nationwide? Tweeps pointed out that information from the likes of CNN, BBC, the Associated Press, the New York Times, to name just a few.
This is another good one. This is what I don't understand. And we're going to talk a little bit about this later, but if you hate the Republicans, if you hate the Democrats, without hating, let me explain it a little better. Let me remove this off the screen real quick. If you're a Republican and you hate the Democrats, I think you're part of the problem. If you're a Democrat and you hate Republicans, I think you're part of the problem. Now, let me go a little bit further and say, if you hate one of those groups without holding your group to the same standard and criticism that you hold the opposing group to, I think you're part of the problem. Doug asked a question, and we're supposed to get into it a little bit later, but it came up right now. What makes something extreme, or what are examples that make something extreme? We won't get into the examples of things that people see as extreme left or extreme right, but we will talk about what makes something extreme. The other group, the opposing group, make it extreme. The reason why Democrats are so extreme is because of Republicans. The reason why Republicans are so extreme is because of Democrats. So if you're a fan of one or the other, to the point where it's like you're just going to always support your group and the glass is always half full for your group, but it's always half empty for this group. Why? Because, well, that group has no morals. Well, this group, they just want to kill this, whatever it is. Let's just go back to elementary school, right? Since we got to go back to being children. I actually think that children, in a lot of ways, would do better with a lot of these decisions that we make. I think that they would be more rational because they're not as controlled. Children are more principled. That's not right. That's not fair. You said that we could have 3 cookies, mommy, and you gave me 2. Kids are very principled when they want to be. Adults are not principled. Whether you want to be or not, they just going for the money. So let's take it back to school. If I yell at you, and this could be in any situation nowadays, if I get an attitude with you, your response may be to yell at me. So here I got an attitude with you, then you yelled at me. Then maybe I pushed you because you were in my personal space. Then maybe you mushed me or slapped me in my face, let's say. And you took it to another level. Then I punched you and I took it to another level. Then it continues to escalate from there, right? So who's the problem? It's like we're watching Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. If you watch the last episode, one of my favorite characters is the cousin of Rhaenyra. And she was talking about how at a certain point, nobody's going to really know where this all started. Nobody's going to know. But all it's going to be is back and forth. Can we look at what's going on in the Middle East? Does anybody know where this started? Do we know who started Israel, Palestine? We don't know. But what we do know is once something's done here, there's going to be retaliation here. Then there's going to be retaliation. So getting back specifically to the Democrats and Republicans, if you hate the Democrats and you're a Republican, you're probably part of the problem. If you hate the Republicans and you're a Democrat, you're probably part of the problem. because you're not acknowledging, and the reason why I'm saying that you're not acknowledging with confidence, even though I don't know you, because most people tend to shy away from accountability and would rather place blame. So are you taking accountability for what you may have done to push them to make that extreme change or make that extreme response? And on the other side, are you taking accountability for making them or instigating them to make that extreme response? So let's keep going. Hold on. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let me pull this back up, because what we're about to highlight is the fact that after that debate, and we talked about it on the last show, everybody said Trump lied, Trump did this, Trump lied. You heard all the Democrats saying that. We already called out the fact checkers on the last show. A lot of these fact checkers that were saying that Trump lied about stuff, we highlighted on the last show. It just wasn't true. Whether it was the Charlottesville situation, whether it was what Kamala Harris is about to say right now, whether it was the losers and whatever, it either didn't give full context, exaggerated, or just flat out lied. So let's get into this. Let's shout out to Elon Musk. Matter of fact,
show that Kamala was lying. Joining me now is Newsweek's senior editor-at-large and Article 3 project. Joining a few.
Oh, this isn't even the one that shows it. Oh, hold on. Now I got to show y'all. Hold on. No. So Kamala wrote this. Hold on. Now I got to show y'all. Hold up. Google. Elon Musk calls out Kamala Harris lying, because he was talking about how Twitter is no longer going to be a place where politicians can come on and lie. Hold on. Let me see if they play the actual, oh shoot, here it is. Hold on, let me go back for a second. Is it on here? No, let me go to Twitter real quick. Bear with me. Y'all know how this go. Sometimes it just goes somewhere else. Hold on. Elon Musk calls out Kamala Harris for lying. Why is it on X? Bear with me. All right. X owner. Okay, boom. I just want to show y'all the tweet. Why is this doing this? Hold on one second. It's taking me to AOL News. Hold on. Elon Musk calls out Kamala Harris lying. Okay, here it is. Can y'all show the post? Okay, here we go. Let me share the screen for y'all. Let me share. All right. Screen. Elon Musk. Okay, share. All right, let me know if y'all can see. So Kamala Harris, she wrote, hold on, let me see if I can expand this a little bit. All right, so Kamala wrote, Donald Trump would ban abortion nationwide. So if you watched the election, you knew that Donald Trump got asked about abortion. And he was asked whether or not, I think he would ban the pill. And he said he wouldn't ban the pill, and that he would still allow, he would still allow people to have abortion during emergency situations where the woman's life is on the line, and I think it was like 2 other things that he mentioned. But still, Kamala decided to come out and write what she wrote. Donald Trump would ban abortion nationwide, right, to fearmonger, because she knows that most of her supporters are just looking for this. They're not going to go and try to fact check what she's saying. President Joe Biden and I will do everything in our power to stop him and restore women's reproductive freedom. She's gaslighting, bro. She's gaslighting. So this is what Elon wrote, right? He tags her post and he quotes it and writes, when will politicians, or at least the intern who runs their account, learn that lying on this platform doesn't work anymore? So he called her out. So I thought that was pretty dope. I guess depending on what side you're on, you may or may not have thought it was dope. But let's get into it, because there's a couple people that give their response. I don't know, is this the Jim Clyburn?
Show that Kamala.
Hold on, 1 second.
President Joe Biden.
All right, so this is not the video. So we're gonna go to another video real quick on Kamala before we end this section. Hold on. I thought it was already queued up. 1 second. All right, I'm gonna play this video, and then we'll wrap up the Kamala section, and then get into everything else that we needed to get into. All right, so Kamala. Matter of fact, hold on. Before we get to that Kamala video, we got a tweet. Look at this. This is embarrassing.
It's not a secret. Look it up. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The project, time for us to play chess, not checkers. It's about making decisions that will affect us as human beings, our careers, our next generations to come. Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless? Pay attention. It's not a secret. Look it up. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The Project 2025 plan is not a game. Look it up.
Is anybody going to take her dressed the way that she's dressed? Am I confused? Is anybody going to take her serious just based on how she's dressed? What is going on with us? Just look at her. Look at how she's, I don't know, was this like some type of Tina Turner thing that she was doing? I don't know. But the fact that she thinks that this is how she's communicating these very serious topics to us is very just weird to me. It's very weird. So let's move on to the next video. And then we got to start to wrap it up. It's already 10. It's already 10. Where's my computer going? Hold on, my fault. I'm not sharing the right one. Hold on. Kamala Harris is asked. All right, hold on. All right, y'all take a look at this.
Nancy Pelosi and Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, how they're talking about this race tonight.
Let us not make a judgment about a presidency on one debate.
I think it's a legitimate question to say, is this an episode or is this a condition?
Stay the course. Chill out. Chill out.
This party should not in any way do anything to work around Ms. Harris. We should do everything we can to bolster her, whether it's in second place or at the top of the ticket.
Of course, the Harris
Does anybody
that
feel that
Clyburn
way?
is referencing there would be the vice.
I'm just going to leave that there. Oh, and Project 2025. All right, so interesting point. I'm glad that you brought that up, Sean. I just wanted to play those videos. One, to get at Pelosi, Clyburn. Are these people even credible? And I almost said something. I know my parents met Clyburn recently when my uncle was getting his award. Let me actually read a comment. Let me not get it. But as far as Project 2025, apparently it's almost 1,000 pages. So I was doing a little bit of research on it, and they're acting as if it's from Trump, but I believe it's actually from a Republican group that's not necessarily associated with Trump, but it's just a project that I believe is pushing a lot of very conservative values. Matter of fact, since you asked, hold on. Since you asked, you ask and you shall receive. Hold on. I'm going to give you a quick clip of this, Shy. My fault. A quick clip of this. Matter of fact, so I'll show a video on Friday. But pretty much one of the things, like, they're trying to get rid of the education system. So Democrats are up in arms. They're trying to break down a lot of the federal government agencies. So Democrats are up in arms. So the CIA can't work with Joe Biden again, making sure that he gets in office. If y'all saw the last show, then you know what I'm referring to. But as far as like getting rid of the education system needs to be destroyed. It needs to be destroyed. I was listening to this story, yo. Y'all are not going to believe this. The video that I was getting ready to show y'all, listen to this. In Baltimore, this guy was doing a study on this school. And I believe he was interviewing, I don't know what grade they were in. This kid had a 0 point, and I almost, as I'm saying it, I want to say, no, it had to be like a 1.6. But I remember it. It was a 0.678 GPA. The kid had a 0.678 GPA, and he was 60 out of 120 in his class. Did y'all hear what I just said? So part of Project 2025 is destroying. I don't even know what that means. I would have to read everything. I'm not sure if I'm going to read all of it. Maybe it is something that we all should read together. Maybe it is something worth reading. But the education system needs to be destroyed. It needs to be destroyed. Just like a house with a bad foundation. What do you have to do? Do you keep adding into the house thinking that it's going to? No, you have to destroy that house and start over and rebuild it with a solid foundation. So while the Democrats will try to make it seem like they're doing something so extreme, taking away your freedoms, taking away your freedom to have public babysitting at these schools. That's what they're pretty much saying. So hold on. Ingwer, hopefully I'm saying it correctly. Another reason to consider RFK Jr. He said anyone who lies in their government position would be fired. Hold on. Ingwer, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And hold on, I got to share something. With you. Hold on. Why is my thing not showing up? There we go. For some reason, like it was taking forever to Ingwer, I got to show you this quick video, and then I promise you we're moving on. Quick video. My bookmark. I'm not going to show it. So just because I don't know exactly which video it is, I don't want to take up too much of your time. But if this reason right here, what Ingwer just said, does not convince you to give RFK Jr. a legitimate shot, then our country really is in a worse position than I even thought. RFK Jr. came out, just flat out said, any politician, anybody who lies in a government position, who lies to the public, the people, us, would be fired. If the last week doesn't show you that we've been consistently lied to, then I don't know what will. Matter of fact, let's go back a few years. If C-19 did not show you in 2020 that the government will lie to us, they will push information. Fauci said, 6 feet just came out of nowhere. There was no science behind it. We heard Pfizer say that, we told y'all that, we told y'all that the jab would prevent the spread. But yeah, we never tested it though. We didn't know. What? If we can't get back to a place, or I don't even know, back to a place of truth, that's a foundational principle. The reason why I call it a foundational principle, because that's something that you can build from. We have too many lies, it's too much deception, there's too much BS right now. Just think about how you think about politicians. It's to the point where politicians lie so much that we almost excuse it. It's like, oh, well, Biden might have said a little lie, but, Trump said a big lie. What? I don't know. All right, so let's move on. Let me kind of wrap up where I'm feeling with Kamala's DEI. So hold on, let me pull up this, make sure that I'm keeping up with all my notes. Hold on one second. Hold up. All right, let me pull them up. All right, so I want to make sure that I just kind of caught up on everything. There was another clip that I wanted to show with Kamala Harris giving advice to 100 black men with Steve Harvey's goofy ass. But I just, and we got to be very careful. Why are these people put in positions to lead our young men? Why is Steve Harvey, isn't he on his third wife and he married his mistress? And it's a big goofy. He's a comedian. Why is he the person that is leading? I think what Barack Obama used to do with 100 black men, young black men in Chicago, whatever it is. Why is Kamala leading these men? Like, I don't know. But y'all was mad at Kevin Samuels for speaking on women's issues, but then we're going to have Kamala Harris speak and lead a group of 100 young black men as if Kamala Harris has experience dealing with young black. But then you can't have it both ways. When Vivek Ramaswamy comes out and says and talks directly about issues in the black community, how fatherlessness in the black community is called, hold on. Can y'all hear me? Did my mic go out? Hello? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, not my fault. My mic went out. But when you had Vivek talking about how fatherlessness was causing all these issues in the black community, all these Democrats came out, Vivek can't talk about black issues. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have Kamala Harris married to a white man, nothing wrong with that, giving advice to a group of black young men, telling them what they need to do in order to be successful. And I'm all for that. Let me be very clear. I'm cool with that. But then you can't criticize it when Vivek does it on the other side. All right, so let's move on. So I need to bring my mother to the stage real quick. I need to bring mom over here. So let me show y'all this video that I saw on Instagram. Matter of fact, I was supposed to show you. Hold on. For some reason on here, it only shows, hold on one second. For some reason, it brings up the wrong Instagram. It brings up my other Instagram account, whatever. Oh, so that's not gonna allow me. Hold on one second. Give me a second. Matter of fact, we pivot. That's what we do, baby. We pivot. We pivoters. Hold on. All right, let me go to my saved here, and I'm just gonna send what I had over there. It's all good. It's all good. We figure it out. All right, so I need y'all to pay attention to this. Let me get it in my messages. Boom. Let me share this. Take a look at this. Let me ask y'all this. How many meals a day do y'all eat? How many meals a day do y'all currently eat? Because if you were on earlier, I told y'all that I was having a conversation with my mom yesterday. And I told her, I said, Mom, I only ate 3 meals in the last 3 days. I had 1 meal a day because I had learned some things that as far as digesting, it just was a lot of benefits that came along with eating 1 meal a day. So I want y'all to take a look at this video and y'all tell me what y'all think. And then I'm going to have a bunch of different questions after because it's getting real unhealthy over here. I got family members that I'm getting news, it feels like, over the last couple of days where it's just like, yo, we got to figure out this health. We got to take care of our health first and foremost. And it's causing serious issues. So let's take a look at this video. Is it shared? All right, here we go. Y'all tell me what y'all...
Ayurveda, in yoga, that a person who eats 1 meal a day is a yogi because he's finished the process of digestion and now the gut is contributing to the intuition and the spiritual pursuits of that person. And the person is engaged in higher activities of the mind, of the faculties of the mind. Someone who eats 2 meals a day is called a bhogi and they enjoy the taste of food.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
There's a saying in
y'all needed to hear it again
yoga,
anyway.
That a person who eats 1 meal a day is a yogi because he's finished the process of digestion and now the gut is contributing to the intuition and the spiritual pursuits of that person. And the person is engaged in higher activities of the mind, of the faculties of the mind. Someone who eats 2 meals a day is called a bhogi and they enjoy the taste of food. The third category is called a rogi, someone who eats 3 meals a day. Rogi means diseased. So when we eat too many meals a day, the gut doesn't get time to digest, absorb and assimilate. The undigested food is getting mixed with the fresh food you're eating and they're all reacting with each other, rotting, putrefying, releasing gases.
I see,
so,
I see.
Having 5 to 6 meals a day has become very common for some people who have weak digestion metabolism. And now people have moved to one meal a day, which is called OMAD. That is the highest level of productivity, intellectual capabilities, and spiritual growth. And this is what monks and sages do. There's a saying in
intellectual capabilities, spiritual growth, and health, which he talked about when people eat 3 meals a day, disease. And we wonder why we get all of these diseases. We wonder why everybody has diabetes, everybody's either diabetic or pre-diabetic or high cholesterol or pre this or pre that, so they can put you on this medicine. We wonder why that we got all these dumb commercials on TV telling us to eat food that is horrible for us. Horrible for us. So I had a couple questions in my notes for y'all. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to live longer, maximize your time while you're here, have a healthier life, not be caught up on taking meds every once? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up the soda? Are you willing to give up the Chicken Shack, the Popeyes, the pork chops? Are you willing to give up all of these things? What norm are you willing to break to maximize the health of your life? Do you think that the government's going to tell you to eat healthy? The same government that when C-19 came around, told you to stay in the house, didn't recommend, hey, you should take some vitamin C. Why? Because vitamin C is proven to boost your immune system. If it profits somebody like that, what's so funny is it's like we live in a world where the same people that complain about people in the world being so terrible, it's like we just trust other individuals just because they have certain positions. Well, Fauci said this, so it's got to be true. Well, that's approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Why is the Food and Drug Administration, why is food and drugs together? Have y'all thought about these things? Why is it the Food and Drug Administration? Can y'all hear me now? I know Maya said before y'all couldn't hear me. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Wait, can y'all hear me? Somebody tell me if y'all can hear me. I'm just going to keep talking. Why is the Food and Drug Administration together? Does it not surprise you that, oh, well, if Big Pharma can run both, then how about we do this? How about we control the foods that they're getting, so therefore we can get them sick, but, you know, we got morals and principles, and we got a certain level of integrity we got to uphold. So therefore, we're going to make certain money, but in all actuality, we're going to make sure that we're actually healing those people. So we'll give them medicine, not the medicine from the earth, but we're going to give them the medicine that we created our pharmaceuticals off, the off-brand version, the GMO modified version. Instead of giving you the sea moss, instead of giving you all these things that come from the ground, we're going to actually study those herbs and then just create medicines off of them. So therefore, we could just charge the people a lot of money, make a lot of money, be in cahoots with the insurance companies, everybody else, and we just all get paid. Do we really understand? Like, do we care how this thing works? Like, do we care how it works? Quee said he eats 2 meals a day. Shy said 3. Shy, you committing to getting that down to 2? Very simple. I'll give you an example. Just don't eat until 12. Matter of fact, I said the last 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and today, I've had 1 meal each day. And I'm not even tripping. And I worked out every single day. So I don't want to hear about, oh, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be this. I worked out every day. I got up and I start working at before 7. And I go until I fall asleep. So I don't want to hear about you tired. Oh, she said we can hear you. Oh, see, that's communication between men and women. That's our problem right now. Shy wrote, I eat fruit and vegetables, no soda or sweets. Dope. That's perfect. Urs wrote, yeah, I can. Yo, can we commit to just try it one day? And I can't even front. Like, do something like, you can have like a couple, see, I got Cats in the chat. You could have a couple, like nuts are good or just something to snack on. I don't want to hear no pause stuff. We don't do all that. Whatever. All right. You can have some nuts, maybe just something to, just something small. But you should have one big meal a day. At least just try it. See if it feels right. See if it feels right. Hey, Dad, my dad's in the building. Dad, my dad, he ain't going for this. My dad has to wake up. Dad, tell him, Dad, you gonna try one meal a day? It is what it is. My dad's healthy, so we just got to be open to trying new things. We got to be open to trying new things. Okay, so real quick, before we get off this topic, speaking of food, I want to share something that was sent to me, because for a lot of people that trust the food, like there's a whole bunch of issues that we have with food. It's not just eating one meal a day. Obviously, it's what we're eating. So let me show y'all this video real quick. I don't know if y'all gonna believe this. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I would have believed it. Well, I would have believed it because y'all know me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Tell me about this.
So I got this watermelon up, and I like to...
Let me run it back for y'all.
For some mysterious reason, in the past few months, there's been loads of videos popping up all over social media of people buying what looks like fake food. It all started just a couple of weeks ago in the United States when several people started noticing that there was something off about the watermelon that they were buying on the supermarkets.
So I got this watermelon up, and I like to rinse my watermelon.
Sheesh, what they got going on?
Cut it, and it's like pinning. Does anybody has problems with their watermelon like this?
And they introduced it to us with these damn seedless watermelons. Do y'all realize that? You go to Whole Foods, you go to ShopRite, you go to all these restaurants, you go to all these supermarkets, and they're advertising, yo, this is the military mind games that they play on us. The mental military mind games. They advertise seedless watermelons as if that's something to be proud of. They're pretty much saying fake watermelon, genetically modified organism watermelon. Watermelon should have seeds. What's the difference between a fruit and a vegetable? Fruit have seeds. So the fact that it's not a fruit, it's not fruit. If it doesn't have seeds, it's not fruit. That's why a tomato's fruit, in case y'all didn't know that.
Oh my god.
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, my dad said tomorrow.
There are dozens of videos where people buy watermelon from the supermarket and it looks strange. Sometimes it looks like plastic, sometimes it makes these weird noises, and sometimes, or many times actually, it feels as if it's made out of rubber.
So I cut watermelon for my kids.
Why they got this music behind it?
Saying they don't like
It
the
makes
texture.
it seem like it's a conspiracy.
I've seen enough videos of people posting rubbery watermelon. I can't believe I got one. I got a rubbery watermelon. The texture is so weird. Like, you gotta bend it so far before it will break.
Nasty.
But it wasn't just rubbery. There was something else about the watermelon that was bothering a lot of people.
Okay, y'all. I threw this watermelon out over a week ago. It smelled really good. Bought it from Walmart. Cut it open, and it was like plastic.
Walmart?
Tasting it was absolutely horrible. I didn't really know what to do with it, so I threw it outside. This is a week later. It looks like mud. What's going on?
It was pretty obvious that there was something off about the watermelon and a lot of people were noticing it. But here's the thing. It wasn't just the watermelons.
There you go.
People were also noticing the same thing happening with avocados, blueberries, bananas, and the list goes on.
We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough. and it doesn't really break.
Bro, do y'all see this banana? Are y'all serious?
When it pulls, it's like it's glue. It's very tight and doughy. It looks very, very fake and Play-Doh.
In this next video, Ari Osborne explains how she bought blueberries in the supermarket. When she gave it to her kid, she noticed that one of them looked like it was made out of rubber. Check this out.
It's left in her little bowl, and I put it down
They gotta change the background music.
Disposal. And I push the button. You know, it's doing its thing, but there's a clanking, and it sounds like something's stuck. So I go in the drain, and there's a blueberry that's not breaking apart. It's not. I pick it up, and
they feeding us rubber,
is
man.
there a rubber blueberry in my toddler's snack?
She cut it in half and it actually looks as if it's made out of silicone or something like that. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger in this next video. A woman tests out the food in the supermarket using a magnet, and this is what happens.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I don't know what to think about this one. Like, I just don't get it.
That I got from here.
You need to cut them damn now.
Into the great chicken. Let's try for
I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with it.
that shit.
After these videos were posted and became
This
a
is
viral
weird.
sensation,
Look at
it
these
made a lot of
avocados.
people ask the same question. Are we possibly eating fake food? What's your take?
Well, first and foremost, processed food is, I mean, and this is the thing that we all got to pay attention to. Nothing just happens. Like, everything starts somewhere and then everything's gradual. Most things are gradual. Just like they introduce certain stuff to us with the LGBT and then yeah. All right. Most things are gradual. So with this food stuff, we actually became okay with GMO chicken. Chickens are not the chickens that first it was the steroids, right? Putting the steroids in the chicken. You got chicken wings this big. Have you ever seen what an actual, like the size of an actual chicken wing? Like when you go to a store that has actual organic chicken wings, the chicken wings are like this big compared to like this big. They're all getting injected with steroids. Then it was the GMO foods. They are pretty much using 3D printers to print out food. I'm sold. I'm sold on it. And I don't know. Some people will look at that video and not even be tripping, but pay attention. Pay attention, because how would we even know? That's a good point. How would we even know? We eat so many things that go through this process, these processed foods. We don't know. These aren't real ingredients that we're eating. They're not. And you can, I can almost, I tell you, I was sitting back thinking about some of the health issues that my first cousins are going through. And then I think about my uncles and aunts. And I'm like, damn, how my first cousins dealing with more issues than my uncles? They had a way worse diet. I'm like, thinking about how my grandfather eat pork every single day and he lived to 90 something. Like, I think the food was different then, but because the food was different then, or based on, in addition to the food being different then, we need to make sure that we're adjusting accordingly. It is now even more important that we're doing anything we can based on the food that we consume to be our healthiest versions, to figure out what works best for us. If it's the one meal a day, whatever it is. All right. Queez, you may have sent me this one. Queez said he saw this. I don't know. Queez is always good with sending me a lot of stuff. Queez is always good with sending me a lot of stuff. Queez, man, I love Queez. I love my dog, Queez. Shy Road, I go to the store once a week. I haven't seen this yet. I'm sure it's coming. That's a fact. All right, so let's wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up on a light mood. It's 10:38. I kind of had my head 10:30. But let's go into here. I think I had to go into the chat. Or I had to go into my messages. So where's the stuff that I sent over? There we go. So this part of the show is called the weird stuff that my dad sends me on social media. Nah, not weird stuff. But I got a couple things for you. I feel like they get more and more impressive as they go. All right. Is this being shared? Hold on. See, I knew it wasn't being shared. Hold on. I done already watched the video. Hold on. Here we go. Urs, I need you, baby. I need Urs. I need Urs, bro. I need Urs to help me out with all this stuff. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. I need my bro Urs. I promise you I could do that right now, Dad. Right now. Let's move on to the next video. Like I said, they get more and more impressive as we go. Ooh. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I don't know if y'all see a lot of these. I see a lot of them because my dad sends me a lot of these stuff where people are doing all these kind of jumps to the point where you think like, yo, this is fake. Like, this is not real. They'll jump from like the top of the building and jump down and make it clean, like a clean landing, and just walk away. This one obviously didn't go so well. Yeah, I'm good. Hey, he think he good. That's one of those things where you try to walk it off. It happened to me. I told you with the backflip, where you try to walk it off to convince yourself that you're good, and wait till an hour from then or the next day. Look at my boy. Hold on. Let's take a look at it one more time. Ooh. But like I said, it gets more and more impressive as we go, because the fact that he didn't die, that was pretty impressive. All right, last video, and then we're wrapping it up.
The fans is watching. Repeat this. Repeat this. Picture the possibility, giving me charges. Lawyers making the grip. Told the judge I was raised for, and that's why I blaze shit. Was hyper as a kid, as a teen. The fans is watching. Repeat this. Repeat this.
That's impressive. I don't know. Okay, with my boy with the.
Told the judge I was raised for.
And this is what my dad sends me. Maybe I gotta throw my pops in the chat so he could send this to everybody. Maybe. Yo, our parents are our greatest assets. Our parents, our siblings. All joking aside, man, I gotta shout y'all out individually. Shy is my girl. For y'all that don't know, I met Shy through my brother. Like, one of my brothers grew up in Newport News, and Shy is my girl. Like, Shy is a great person, and we still got to get her. We're going to get her hits this year. This year, Shy. But I really appreciate y'all, and I just want to go through at least, and if I miss you, it is what it is. I could blame it on my second half glass of rosé, but I appreciate y'all. I really feel like we're at that point where it's about to, like, it's turning into what we all kind of thought it would turn into, and I really mean we all, because I honestly, I'm trying to think. I don't tune into my friends' stuff like this. I'll be honest, and y'all are super consistent, so it is appreciated. Maya probably knows more than everybody else how much it really is appreciated, as far as y'all tuning in with me every time, sending the show out. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. If I was an emotional person, I would maybe shed a tear right now. But I keep it player at all times for the most part. Ken, y'all saw Ken earlier. Ken's been holding me down. That's been my movie plug for the longest. Whenever a new movie would come out, he used to let us in with the sneak peek before it even opened. We used to be able to watch it before everybody. That's my brother. Who else we go to? Ursi and Alana. Yo, locked in. Urs and Lana, they didn't end up moving down, even though y'all didn't end up moving down officially to Miami. But what y'all did like that quickly and moved on stuff, I'll tell you what it did for me. It actually gave me a whole lot of confidence, because here it's like you talk to one of your bros, you talk to your sis about something that you want to do, and they like, all right, we coming down. Matter of fact, we're going to get a crib. Yeah, we all in with it. Let's do it. That actually boosts your confidence so much. It really does wonders. So it's onward and upward. Y'all know what it is. Love y'all, man. Love y'all for real. Who we got next? Hold on. My Queez is my bro. For all y'all that don't know, Queez and I've been locked in. Since I stepped on the football field. It's been like since we were, and maybe even before that, like 7-8 years old. We just been locked in. I say this. I don't say this a lot. I was gonna say I say this a lot and don't always mean it. I don't say this a lot. Queez is one of the greatest people that I've had the pleasure of growing up with and just knowing. When I talk about principles, morals, and values, I don't know if there's somebody else that exudes those things that I would trust to align with. If I had, if I was getting judged by somebody, I want Queez judging me based on those principles, morals, and values. I appreciate Queez. I would love to get Queez up here because what ends up happening is people listen to the person with the mic, right? But there's a lot that Queez is, when we talk about sales, Queez is an expert salesperson, smart. He's doing a lot of the things and has been doing a lot of the things that I just come up here and talk about. So, bro, I love y'all. We forever locked in. You've always supported me and you continue to do it. And you may not even know how you supported me from football on. Like, Queez was the wide receiver. And as when you're a young kid, you playing wide receiver, you're not getting a lot of catches. They mostly just turn it around and hand it to the running back. But Queez always just excited. That's my dog, man. That's my brother. So it is what it is. Love you, bro. My parents, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is. My parents are the greatest parents of all time. My dad is my favorite debate partner. And it's because I value his opinion so much. I've been so fortunate to be able to grow up with a strong man in my household that I trust with leading in any area. I may not always demonstrate it or think like, yo, Dad, I got this right here. But that's just me trying to pay it back in whatever way I can figure it out. So my parents, like, and I'm talking specifically about my dad right now because a lot of men are not appreciated. I'm just going to be honest. Men and fathers and husbands in particular are not appreciated the way that they should be. The man is the person that usually has to come with the discipline factor. And I know growing up, that wasn't fun, where mom's just, ask mom, she's going to say yes, ask dad. No. So I trust me, it's appreciated every day more and more. So that's the one thing about being a pops. You may not get that level of appreciation early on, and it may not even be shown to you ever. But trust me, as boys turning into men, we appreciate that more and more every day. I love my dad. My dad is my biggest cheat code that I could ever have. Moms, biggest support system. When I talk about support, man, I'm telling y'all right now, I talked about Ursi and Lana saying that they would move down here like ASAP. Let me tell y'all something. And if whatever I say I'm doing, and my dad's probably laughing. If I say, yo, we starting this business, we doing this, we doing that, my mom is, what do you need from me? I'm telling y'all, that's just is what it is. She's a rider. She's when I first started going through my religious enlightenment and just kind of journey with all that, she was probably the first person that would be open to hearing a lot of the ideas that I was saying. And I know that's hard for her, especially as a mother, moms, and especially my dad too. I don't want to take it away from that. But, when you see your son, and I know this from my mom and my dad, speaking on certain things that people may not necessarily want to hear or may not be popular opinion, that can be very scary for them. But when I tell y'all, it's funny when you think about the people that you would go to war with or you would be in the trenches with in any situation. Doesn't have to be a violent situation, but just something. If I'm starting a business tomorrow, my biggest, I tell you, one of the things that I think about the most is, and I think I put a post about it before, is how do I get my parents involved in my business? But I already talked about my dad. Speaking about my mom in particular, anything, my mom's the most organized. If I ask my mother to do something today, she's my calendar, she's everything. It's going to get done. She's just whatever. Now, that's just the relationship. So love you, Ma. Both of my parents, the combination. I don't even need to speak about one without the other. My parents are my greatest cheat code to life. It is what it is. Yeah. Maya is just a headache in my life. But even though I'm on it, like I tell you what, I'm not a easy person to be around with all the time. I'm just not. I'm very demanding of myself, and you know what I mean? And that can carry over to people that I really care about in my life. I understand that it's something that I work on every day. Trust me. Even though I'm not like emotional saying, I'm really working on this. I'm really working on it. That's just not me. I'm just going to say I'm working on it, and I work on it. But appreciate Maya for tolerating me. One of the biggest things, one of the most important things to me is what will end up becoming my legacy, and having somebody that can tell my story correctly. I plan on making an impact in this world, and people that make impacts in this world are not always liked. Their story's not always told with the accuracy that we hope it is, but that's why it's so important. Maya and I've been rocking since she was 14, 15 years old. So I raised her. So anything that I complain about that she does, I got to take some responsibility for it, because let me stop. But everybody, you're appreciated. I know it's hard on you, but you are appreciated. And I want to be sure that I say that as well. So love you all. And I said I loved everybody. I didn't say, well, you didn't. I know I'm gonna get off here. Well, you didn't say that you love me specifically. Love you as well, Maya. So starting from, I think we started with Shy and Ken all the way down, not all the way down, all the way up. Love y'all all. And my big bro, Doug, who I almost forgot. Let me tell y'all, Doug is as engaged. And it's like, y'all, damn, you gonna finish up with Doug? Yeah, I'm finishing up with Doug. It just happened that way. Doug, to this day, he will text me when my mic is off. He's texting me, hey, we can't hear you. Put your mic. I appreciate you, brother. You are just a solid person. You're a better friend to me than I am to you. And the best way for me to show my appreciation for you is to reciprocate that energy. So you got my word on that. So I'll leave it at that. With that, my pop said he's paying for golf the next round. That's my thing. I don't let my dad pay for golf. If I'm gonna have a terrible day, if we're gonna be out there, the least I could do is take a little stress off him so he can have as good of a golf game as he has. So maybe we'll be out on the golf course, but I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I promise you I'll get you on the next show. And for all the people that just joined today, except Instant Defense, because he was a little bit of an asshole, but no, I'm just joking. Everybody, we appreciate y'all as well. I really hope I didn't miss anybody, but if I did, my apologies. But I promise I'll catch y'all eventually. Yo, y'all gotta go. Enjoy y'all nights. Hug your loved ones. Appreciate your loved ones. We're gonna look back on this show and say that this was the start to something special, that this was that first hump that we got over. So I can't believe that 12,000 people are still in here listening to me just give my emotions. But Quee sent the fire emojis. Y'all know what it is. And Lucille, we're gonna give Lucille some love on Friday. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Like I said, Quee sent the fire emojis. Get back to your families. Just got to come on the show. My dad wrote, my brother. Yeah, I got something special for Just coming. But yeah, real quick. I gotta say something. When I talk about the hardest position, like the biggest compliment that I can give my brother doesn't always come as a compliment, but Like, my brother has been my biggest fan. He's never looked at me as jealous of my sports success, even though we always talk about it. He had more natural athletic gifts than me, but it is what it is. But yeah, my bro, the fact that he's been able to celebrate me so much without having that jealousy that maybe I would even have, to be totally honest. Love y'all. But we got to go. So with that, I'll see y'all soon. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Onward and upward, strength and honor. Y'all know what we do. Elevate on purpose. Let's become the best versions of ourselves so we can give it to each other. That's it. That's all I got for me. Y'all know what's in my bag. Get to your bag. Get to your bag, all right? It's important that we pay attention to what we're getting to and our goals that we're hitting. What's in my bag is health, wealth, integrity, peace, love, and happiness. And with that, I'll see y'all soon.